Hey guys, hope you and your families are doing well. I'm going to take you through 6 stocks that are very high on my radar that I'm going to be watching for opportunities to develop in this week. Now, the first 5 are can-slim, true market leader type stocks, but the final stock that's going to be a momentum leader stock is actually a quantum computing stock. And today, the day that I'm filming this, which is the 14th of April 2025, is quantum day. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some extra hype, some extra momentum in the quantum computing leading stocks. So that's something that I'll be watching to develop this week as well. Now, I'm going to be using the market surge charts to show you these 6 stocks. They are my go-to resource for analyzing company fundamentals and today's video sponsor. If you're interested in a discounted trial, then you'll find a link to that in the description and the comment section below. So let's go gadget with the first of the 6 stocks. Now, the first one that I'm going to be watching is Netflix. Now, it reports earnings, as far as I'm aware, after Thursday's close. Now, Netflix has been displaying some relative strength. There's 2 types of chart patterns that I can currently see developing, which is a wedge type pattern and also a double bottom pattern within the context of a wedge. And Netflix also has a history of gapping up on its earnings. We've seen that on the last 2 earnings announcements. So that would be here. Okay, you can see the gap on the earnings. So earnings were up 45% year over year. You can see the gap. You can see the high volume coming through. And then the subsequent quarter, again, there's another gap here. Not the strongest of close, but again, context of the pretty weak market that we've had since the turn of the year, and really the tariffs causing a lot of uncertainty. But again, you can see the volume here. So what I find quite interesting with Netflix here is this is the relative strength line. You see this blue line? This is the relative strength line versus the S&P 500. So take a look at this uptrend here. It's been uptrending over the last month or so, but actually you could back it out. And it's been uptrending for around about 9 months or so. You see that? So this is a very, very strong relative strength line. Now, the fact that you're seeing relative strength and a constructive chart pattern developing makes me think, maybe the large operators know something and we're going to see something happen around the earnings. So it's currently clustering around a bunch of key daily moving averages, the 10-day, the 21-day, and the 50-day. You've got this wedge type pattern developing, but you've also got a double bottom type pattern within the wedge type pattern. So the double bottom looks like a W, okay, looks like this. So you get this move down here, okay, it rallies, just gets back above some of these key daily moving averages, and then you get this move down here, which then undercuts both lows, and then this reversal. So this acts as like a spring, okay. Those of you who studied, say, the Wyckoff methodology may be familiar with a Wyckoff spring. So this is acting like a bit of a spring type action going on in here. The fact that it's able to undercut the prior low here at 823 and 854, and then it's a nice strong reversal, and it's the context of the relative strength as well. Earnings year over year on the most recently reported quarter up 102%, sales up 16%, and margins okay, and there could be a little bit better. EPS estimates is into all-time high territory relative to the last 8 years and all-time highs overall. Really like that. So a company that has impressive earnings coming through, impressive relative strength, the sales growth is there, EPS estimates all-time high territory. I think Netflix is an interesting one to be watching. Now, another stock that you're probably familiar with is PLTR, Palantir. Now, this stock, similar to Netflix, we've seen a couple of gaps. This was the original gap on news of the inclusion to the S&P 500. So there was a nice gap up opening range breakout to be had there that I had. And then there was another gap here on the earnings that I had as well. So this is a earnings gap up ORB, and then you see another gap here. So I'm wondering with PLTR, eventually when we get to its earnings, maybe there'll be an earnings gap up. But before we get there, because it's around about a month or so out, what I'm actually looking for here is a potential setup, because I really like the double inside day. Okay, take a look at this here. Okay, last 2 sessions. Okay, so that would be Thursday and Friday of last week. So you get the news of the Trump tariff pause, the 90-day tariff pause that comes out, really strong reversal on the Wednesday, and then the Thursday and the Friday inside day, and the volume's starting to dry up a little bit as well. You've also got a double bottom type pattern forming, okay? So you move down here, rally, then you get the shakeout and the reversal, and the actual opens on these days here, they were gap down reversals is what I call them. So the stock gap down and then it reversed very strongly, and note the little pop in the volume as well. Earnings are there, sales are there, margins growth is there, EPS estimates similar to Netflix into all-time high territory. Really like that when the EPS estimates are going into all-time high territory, and you've got this double bottom type pattern forming, and look at this relative strength line. Okay, long-term relative strength has been impressive, and also look at this short-term relative strength over the last week or so, very impressive. So the fact that it's trading really tight in here around a clustering of key daily moving averages, back-to-back inside days, I think that looks pretty darn interesting. Another stock that you'll probably be familiar with is Nvidia. Now, what I quite like with Nvidia is if we zoom out here, you potentially got a big spring type event. So again, those of you who've studied the Wyckoff methodology may recognize this as a phase C spring type event. I'm finding this quite interesting, okay? So what happens is you get the prior low down here, which is August 5th, 2024, which is again a gap down reversal. I actually had the 5-minute ORB on this day here, and then the stock rallied about 30% or so in a hurry, like really V-shaped in nature there. Very, very impressive, this kind of V-shaped rally that happened in there. But what you're now getting is an undercut of that 90.69 low. So you get this undercut rally, so it acts as a spring type event, and then it's acting pretty constructively, Nvidia, around its 21-day EMA and its 10-day EMA, nearly back-to-back inside days. The volume's drying up, the earnings are there, the sales are there, the estimates are there. It's just so involved with the AI revolution that we're looking at here. Like, Nvidia is just absolutely key to everything currently. I think this looks really interesting, and there's a lot of interesting stocks, whether that be Nvidia, PLTR, Netflix, some of the others that I'm going to show you. A lot of stocks are now starting to look pretty interesting. Now, my preference would be we actually start to see some tight action coming through. So if I just cast your mind back to here, okay, this was a cup and handle type breakout. So I had Netflix before it was breaking out here. I then had it for this entire run here, really nice run. So I'm wondering, are we going to transition more so from what has been a kind of shorter term tactical market environment as we've been trading through this chop? There's been some good opportunities on the long side and the short side, but I'm wondering whether we're going to transition with the market sentiment shift last week on the back of the 90-day tariff pause, whether we're going to transition back more so into this, where it's a bit more orderly in terms of a swing positional environment. That's something that I'm looking for. A little bit of tight action, the volume drying up, some nice cup and handle type patterns forming could be something. So it might be we see the likes of Nvidia here kind of power up to here somewhere, and then it kind of back and feels like this, kind of tightens up, maybe then builds a little kind of handle, something like this, little kind of mid-ish pivot, and then breaks out from there. So that's something I'm looking at. But how it's acting down here, that's really getting my attention. Another one as well, kind of TML type stock, is CrowdStrike, cybersecurity related stock. Now, similar to the other ones that I've been showing you, and this is quite common, a lot of the leading stocks, the kind of leading CAN-SLIM TML type stocks, seeing double bottom patterns develop. So what a double bottom pattern looks like, that was me trying to put W in a double bottom, that's why I went W like that. That's my dyslexia. Okay, so double bottoms look like this, a W. Okay, so what you get is you get a move down that sets below that at 30379. You get a rally back up which fails just around the 50-day, kind of pokes its head and then comes back down, and then here you trade back down, undercut, and then move through. Now, what I like looking for is on these undercuts, ideally the stock kind of gaps down, panics a load of weak hands out, and then a really, really strong reversal. So you're getting this double bottom type pattern, and then it's acting pretty constructively around the 10 and the 21, just underneath the 50. Look how the volume is drying up, earnings, sales, estimates, EPS estimates into all-time high territory over the last 8 years, like that. Again, common theme that I look for, EPS estimates into all-time high territory. So looking at this here as a potential double bottom type pattern. So quite like how that's forming. And then if I take you to a new IPO, which is CoreWeave. Again, this is heavily involved in terms of AI infrastructure. Company is not yet profitable. There's a little bit of kind of issues around the debt as well. But if we look at the sales growth, I'm finding this quite interesting. On a year-over-year basis, in the most recently reported quarter, sales went from 116 million reported to the quarter to 747 million. That is up 544% year-over-year. Now, what I'm looking for here is potentially a low pivot to form. You got a round number here of $50, so maybe it kind of does it underneath $50, but I'm just looking for this to hold up quite well, which it's been doing. A lot of impressive relative strength given the context of the market recently, and I'm just looking for this to kind of just tighten up. Maybe it kind of pops here underneath 50, tightens, something like that, and just forms like a little low pivot, something like that, maybe an inside day. But this is one that I'm watching on a day-to-day basis. I think it's worth a little bit of your time doing some due diligence into the company's business model and what they do. They are heavily involved in AI infrastructure and have some big customers as well. So I think CoreWeave is one to watch, kind of reminding me in a way of like Tempus AI. So this stock here, you see how it tightened really nicely in here? You see this tight little action there? That's kind of what I'm looking for CoreWeave to do. Maybe it builds like a cup and handle like Tempest and then goes. But something like this, some tight little action, the volume dry up, and then a really powerful move. Stock nearly doubles or so in the space of 2 weeks. That there is something that I'm keeping close tabs on. And then if we finish with the sixth stock, which is the quantum computing stocks, not QBT, that's one of the ones that I'm watching. Look how tight this is getting, by the way. That is ridiculously tight in there. It's actually QBTS, but QUBT, there's a lot of Q's, aren't there? QUBT is looking interesting. QBTS, a little bit stronger from a technical perspective. And when these quantum stocks want to go, some of you are probably trading these in the back end of 2024 as well. When these quantum stocks want to go, they can absolutely rip. The stock goes from $1 to $11 in a hurry in the space of a couple of months. And it's been holding up pretty well. I mean, you can see it with the relative strength line. Considering that this is a profitless company, okay, there's a little bit of sales coming through, but not much. But considering the company is profitless, it doesn't make any, doesn't make a profit, it's not expected to make a profit this year or next year, the relative strength that it is displayed in the face of this market correction. Okay, so remember, the indexes have done this, okay, but QBTS, a profitless quantum computing stock, has done this and is basic and has the potential for this big like flag type pattern. Now, very, very volatile. These stocks here, these quantum stocks, IONQ, Rigetti, which is RGTI, QBT, QBTS, D-Wave Quantum that we're looking at here, have very high 20-day ADR percentages, okay? So these are very different stocks to the ones that I was just showing you, like the Netflixes, the Nvidias, the PLTRs, the CrowdStrikes of the world. These are momentum leader type stocks, but it's got the potential for this big flag. We know it can be very volatile. Today, when I'm filming this video is quantum day. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some extra hype, extra momentum. I like how it's acting around the 10-day, 21-day, and the 50-day. So this is one that I'm watching here. Going to be on the lookout for what I call trigger bars, shakeout demand tails, gap down reverse bars, Morellos, intraday mean reversion longs, opening range breakouts as well, so ORBs. But these quantum stocks, they're remaining high on my radar. I think this is a very interesting area of the market to continue to watch, both in the short term, but also in the longer term as well. RGTI would be another one, potential kind of like falling big volatile falling wedge pattern. But I mean, you can see the moves that these stocks can make. They can be absolutely mega. So that's it, guys. I'll wrap it up there. We did a couple more than 6, didn't we? But hopefully there is interesting for you. Give you a flavor of some of the stocks on my radar for this week. Again, the opportunities that I'll be looking to trade, other type of setups that I teach you on my YouTube channel for free, Morellos, opening range breakouts, trigger bars, shakeout demand tails, and gap down reverse bars. So thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in a future video.